Good afternoon and welcome. My name's Andrew Best, as you well know. I'm a serving police officer within the force, and your ACO is here, Mr. Ian Watson, so thank you very much for coming today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. The HR and training function is going through very significant change, and I think it's important that we communicate that change to all staff across both organisations. It's very important that people are up to speed with what we're doing and potentially how they're going to be affected. And as their Assistant Chief Officer, the Joint Assistant Chief Officer for HR across both South Yorkshire Police and Humberside Police, I'm really happy to be here today to explain that.
Thank you. In relation to the purpose of today then, for me it's about if you would update everybody and inform everybody so they feel a part of this in relation to where we are in terms of the HR change and almost like an enhanced drive within HR at this moment in time.
Yes, again, thank you for the question. I think that people will be aware that the original genesis for the change actually happened through the region, so that there was an agreement to have a number of phases to improve, enhance and to save money across the HR functions. That was a three-phase programme. We've completed phase one, which was essentially internal changes through the centralisation and the reduction of resources in each individual organisation to adopt a best practice HR model. That's complete, and that's been successful in terms of its overall outcomes. Where we are now is in the middle of phase two, and phase two is the creation of a single HR and training service serving both South Yorkshire Police and Humberside Police.
Okay, thank you. That gives quite a lot of clarity for me. In regards to the relation to the position of HR, everyone talks about the PCC's assurance. For some, they might not quite understand what that means. What's come out from that?
Yes, well, I think that overall the PCCs have been enormously supportive to the HR need and the HR agenda. There's been a new governance framework which has been introduced across the police service, and last year police and crime commissioners were introduced, and the PCCs were very keen that where there were existing agreements around collaboration, that there was an independent assurance review to make sure that that was the right direction of travel for both organisations. And that happened from January through to the end of March this year. And that's now complete, and we're ready to move forward.
Okay. If I'm one of your customers, which I am, obviously, police officer, what are some of the key issues then from the PCC assurance, and how are we going around resolving and in fact actually enhancing what we want to achieve? How are we doing that?
Yeah, I mean that's a really important question. I think that the good thing about the PCC assurance review was that it was independent, and it had individuals who weren't associated with the organisation from the College of Police who came in and they did a review and they engaged with staff and customers of the service. The very positive outcome is absolute clarity now. There is no ambiguity. Both PCCs, both Chief Constables are absolutely committed towards the creation of a single service. And I think it's important to have that clarity, because what that means now is that all of us can put our energy, our best efforts into making it work. I should say though, it was an independent review. People, which I was really appreciative of, were very frank, they were very honest through that particular process. And there are issues that we do need to address and work on. We've already started that, but some of the issues that we need to improve and develop include, for example, communication, engagement. There are some issues of customer service that I think across the HR function we have to accept and put our hands up and say we need to do better. And also in terms of developing the single ethos, the brand, so that we truly have a single team serving both organisations. So some of those issues we've been working on as a wider team to develop and address those areas.
I think having been this morning at Shared Services and seen Courtland Road and Nunnery all in the same room with the with the essence of technology. I think my experience, to give some feedback to you, is the Customer Service Advisory Group, which came out of some of the work that's going on. There's some really good work at the underpinnings point now, right at the very bottom, which is really, really good. And I think the communication, the internal communication and external communication, and I think that's what I want to put across to you, I think is really focused. And that work is ongoing. It will continue to keep ongoing. But I think the passion and the motivation in people is that they still value and still want to give a good service across one shared service on both sides, if you will, be it Nunnery, Cortland Road. And I think that's the key message.
I absolutely agree. I think that it's been a very personally uplifting experience for me over the last couple of months, having come back from the Strategic Command course, where I was absent for 3-4 months earlier this year. It's been really, really uplifting to see how energetic and how enthusiastic the teams have been to try and develop this customer service drive as a consequence of the PCC assurance findings. And one of the things that I would like to say is that absolutely, unequivocally, we are committed to providing a great service, putting people first and making a difference, and also embracing change. And interestingly, that is the vision which has now been developed, not from me, not from the staff, but collectively together. So it's really heartening that that vision, with those really practical initiatives that are already underway and will develop further in partnership with the frontline and officers, I'm really encouraged about that.
I think there's a degree of myth that that's come from elsewhere, when in fact my experience, having been across the board, is that those underpinning pillars about putting people first, everything that everyone's mentioned, is their collective feedback.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a very important point, and I think that again, we have absolutely fantastic staff who are highly committed, who are very, very professional across the whole of HR and training. You know, I've worked in both the private and the public sector, and I've got to say that they stand up to and are as good as, and probably better than, what I've worked with previously. But we can't be complacent about that, because I think that we haven't fully engaged as well as, or as effectively as we could, with frontline supervisors, line managers and officers. And I think later on, you know, you will hear more about what those briefings and what those initiatives are going to be. So we need to do more, but actually, you know, there's a good foundation now with absolute clarity of support, collective leadership to making the single service work. But we need to listen to our customers more, and we need to make sure that all our solutions that we develop meets the interests of the organisation. You know, it's HR for the business, it's not HR for HR's sake.
Okay. And I think for me, just one last point is, I think the opportunity for those people to attend a customer service advisory group at grassroots level is really important to feed the message that's coming from the people that are out there, in here, wherever you wish to be, passing the message to you, Ian. So on their behalf, thank you for today. It's been an interesting interview with yourself. And maybe in a few months' time we could come back and see what some of the key points that have come further down the line.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'd be more than happy to do that. I have to say that one of the things as well, in terms of the HR change programme, is that I've agreed now with both the Chief Constables that this whole process will be headed directly by them. And I think that that's an important message to go out there, because that symbolises actually how important this change process is and how important it is to get it right as well. So thank you, Andy.
No, thank you. Lots of passion. Thank you very much.